In this movie, we will continue our conversation about how we can use camera raw as a smart filter and how we can work with masking in order to mask in camera raw adjustments into certain areas in our photographs. We'll be working with this photograph that I captured of my daughter, Annie, here. Annie was leaving to go to a friend's house, and they were going to have a tea party, so she had dressed up and put something in her hair. And as she walked out the front door, I said, "Hey, hang on a minute." And I grabbed my camera, which was sitting there, and I took this picture. I made this frame. And I captured this image on film and then scanned it. And when I opened it up in Photoshop, I realized there was something there. I liked the look, yet the photograph is too complicated. Often in photography, what we need to do is to reduce and simplify. And that's definitely what I want to do here with this photograph. I want to darken the background so that it's completely black, so we can really focus in on my beautiful daughter, Annika, here. Well, in order to do that, let's convert this layer to a smart object layer. Then we'll work with camera raw and masking in order to darken the back of the photograph. So first, right-click or control-click on the layer and choose Convert to Smart Object. Now that the layer is a smart object layer, we'll go to Filter, and then we'll choose Camera Raw as a filter. Now, when we're here inside of Camera Raw, we're going to do something which may seem a little bit strange. Yet stick with me, because at the end, you'll see the final result, and I think the results will speak for themselves. And more importantly, this will help us to learn how we can use camera raw in really dramatic ways to make big, bold changes. Well, as I mentioned, I want to darken the background. So here I'm going to drag my black slider to the left. I'll click and drag my contrast slider to the right. And then exposure, I'm going to bring that all the way down. I'm going to bring this all the way down so that my entire image now is completely black. And you may be thinking, Chris, you have lost it. What are you doing here? Well, stick with me. Take a look. Here we'll go ahead and click OK in order to apply these camera raw settings, which have essentially blacked out the whole image. Well, next we'll click into the mask. This mask is white, revealing all of our camera raw adjustments. Well, that obviously isn't what we want. We want to invert the mask. Do you remember the shortcut to do that? If you press Command-I on a Mac or Control-I on Windows, it will toggle the inversion of the mask. So here we can go between black and white. We want a mask which is filled with black, essentially concealing everything we did with camera raw. Next, we'll grab our brush tool. Here with our brush tool, if we paint with white, that will allow us to reveal the camera raw adjustments. So now with a white brush, and here at 100% opacity, I can paint over the background and paint away all of these distracting elements. I'll go ahead and paint near Annika here to just darken up this area, and I'll paint away any other distracting element that I see there in the background. I'll use a smaller brush in order to get in close to the subject, and so we'll just go ahead and use a smaller brush in these areas. Now I can crank my brush size up by tapping the right bracket key, and then we'll just go ahead and paint all of these away. And the advantage, of course, of doing this with camera raw is that we have a lot of flexibility. This is non-destructive. We can always go back and change how far we've darkened this part of the photograph, and we can do so by simply double-clicking on the camera raw filter icon. All right, well, here you can see really it's this adjustment which allows us to take out all of the brightness, all of those distracting elements that we have in the background. And perhaps even more importantly, we've started to see how we can use camera raw to make big, bold adjustments, which may seem like they're wrecking the image, but then when we paint them into certain areas, well, they can really help out. And we can make adjustments like this that have to do with color or exposure or sharpness or whatever it is. Again, the trick is to use camera raw as a filter and then to take advantage of what we know about masking in order to finish off the adjustment as we did here with this photograph.